I do plan on bringing the Comanche in here. The Comanche's going with me to Colorado. I have a slip yoke eliminator for the transfer case that I think is pushing 4 or 5 years old. Uh-oh. What the heck is this? It's a rebuild kit. It's for the Rubicon. That's the 231 case I have. Or 241. 3 point... Or what is it? I think it's 3.5 to 1. Or 3 to 1. It's the Rubicon transfer case. I thought... Shoot. I thought I had a slip yoke eliminator kit for my Comanche. And I was going to put it on. I don't even know why I have that, other than I was probably going to rebuild it before I put it in the Jeep. Well. Oh, it's got a whole chain, bearings. At least the chain's not rusty. Bearings. Do they really put this here to keep the chain from moving? I'm kind of thinking that's exactly what that is. You know, the only thing it doesn't have is the new pump. That's the plastic. Oops. That's the plastic for the shift fork. So you got all 4. Is that? I think that is literally there just to keep the chain from wiggling around. Well, 241 T-case. It says 02 and up. And up until 2011? I think you can go up to 11 with the transfer case I got. And then from 11 to 17 is a different one. But it doesn't change the fact I'm missing what I'm 90% sure I ordered is that slip yoke eliminator kit. So maybe the Comanche's not coming in here. Alright, I gotta do some digging. Alright. I found the slip yoke eliminator kit for the Comanche. The 241 kit, which I think just upgrades it to the same thickness chain this one is. Not 100% sure why, but I have, looks like mostly 2 complete kits of gaskets O-rings. See, that makes more sense to me. And this one has a pump. Huh. This one for the JK doesn't have a pump. That one has a new pump. And no, that's not the same thickness, not even close. It's not even close. Anyway, I don't care. I've never broken a chain. They get loose after a while. So, whatever. This is a rebuild kit with bearings but no pump. Transfer case fluid filter. Yeah, that goes on the bottom of the pump. Okay. Thank you for your order. Free advertising. You can put it on. It's got all the roller bearings, the main bearings. This one doesn't even have the roller bearings, does it? This is definitely a more substantial rebuild. So, I have that. Oh, I'm glad I marked it. Comanche. Because I don't see... Oh, there we go. And it says 231. 87 to 01, which is the 88 Comanche transfer case. So that's good. Civilate 231. I wonder if each bag came with like the rebuild kit and then came with the slip yoke eliminator kit. Holy shit. Snap rings. That's a little gasket. There's your instructions. Speedometer gear. Maybe I'll do some research and see if there's a... I'm only 5 miles per hour off at the moment. Maybe I'll just leave it alone. That's the new rear end, or the rear yoke. That's the new tail section. Speedometer goes in there. Nothing else in the box. Okay, this is the inspection of the Comanche. I ripped this, and I obviously welded that up. So this shock obviously got replaced or repaired once. I think that was right after Colorado 24. I'm gonna do some work on the back brakes because I'm missing the stainless steel slider. That's why this thing doesn't wear quite right. This one's got both. So I need to get the... Ooh, that will sell out. Alright, so I gotta get that taken care of. The safety brake works. I don't know why it all looks rusty. I think it was the mud I went through. Yeah, it's the mud. Okay, so we're gonna drain and fill here. I have been getting a slight vibration. Usually when you get off the gas, I think that's the reason. The universal joints don't look bad, but I definitely conked that. Now, I may be 100% wrong. This is stock, and I think these are 1310 universals. This is an 05 Rubicon Dana 44, and I think these are 1330s. I remember I took it to High Desert Driveline, and I had them cut the original and add this 1330 yoke to it, so I didn't have to do a whole bunch of work. I think that's what I did. And this is a completely new tube, but I don't think so. It's been 6 or 7 years since I built this. Maybe 2018. Maybe it's been longer than that. And that's the only knock on the drive shaft. I am going to rebuild this. Thank goodness, because it looks like it's just coming apart. Oil everywhere. So I was kind of going to try to do the whole slip yoke eliminator just from the rear without taking it out, but it needs more than that. So I'm going to go ahead and take the whole transfer case out, rebuild it on the bench. Frame rails still look good. Rock sliders look good. Nothing here. I got all my bolts for the cross member still. You can see I ride these quite a bit. When I built this, I sleeved it, but I didn't truss it, and I'm still kind of okay with that. Might be time for bushings. I'll see that in a little bit. I redid the bushings recently. I'm sorry, ball joints. That looks a bit too shiny, doesn't it? The top of that. Right there. That's too shiny. Why is it rubbing? Huh. See how it's rubbing right there? It's touching something. Or was that when I took it apart to do the ball joints? I'm not sure. Not a lot of play. Front drive shaft feels fine. Nothing else looks like it needs attention. Might go ahead and do an oil change while it's up in the air. Power steering, moist but not wet. Transmission lines are probably what's causing most of that moisture. Now this is bent. I don't see any movement in the universal joints. Wait a minute. No. Right there, I was thinking it wasn't moving with the tire. Way it is. Probably see it right there. Let's see if I can move it. Right there, you can see that shiny spot? Right there. That's it touching the nose, like here. It's touching all the way inside. So, maybe adjust the bump stop out a bit to keep it from turning as tight. Because that could bust an axle. This side's not doing it though. These are the Super 30 axles. So they have the custom 30 spline hub. So normally this is 27 splines and this is 30. So they're supposed to be better. Yeah, I think I'll just take the transfer case down, which is always a pain in the butt. This is my heavy duty cross member I built, or stock one that I made heavy duty. How's that? Put 10 gauge steel here, here, here. Definitely holds up better than the stock one did. Yeah, this sucker, she gone. That's pretty good red stuff. I like that. Alright, so there's no bend there. You can see the gap. So right where I hit that, I definitely bent the drive shaft, which is not too surprising. Which is going to throw off the balance. Which it should have. Yeah. Yeah, it's slightly bent. Yeah. Well, held up for, I'd say, 6 to 8 years. So that's not too bad. So I think these are 8mm. So we're gonna just take that. That slides out, which is half the whole reason we're doing this. We'll put the slip yoke eliminator kit, rebuild the transfer case, maybe change the fuel filter while we're sitting here. And it looks a little, I don't know. I guess they both look the same. So those are my bump stops, by the way. They worked out pretty well. I just extended a piece of steel, or tubing actually. And I think these are 2-inch lifts. Those are 2-inch, and then I added another 2 inches, so this would be like a 4-inch lifted bump stop. I think the front I welded a square tube. Yeah, I did. I don't know if you can see that. There's my little square tube. And it works. Same thing on that side. Well, I'm not seeing a whole lot of problems. Seeing some maintenance I got to do to make it ready for Colorado, which is normal. This side and this side. How come these don't have those stainless steel bushings or guides or whatever you're calling them? The rear definitely does. And you can see they need it. Look at that gap. Huh. Alright, that's where we're at the moment. Alright, I have this thing about ready to drop. I'm using the transmission jack to hold up the transmission. There's a bolt right there. I'll show you the correct wrench for that because it's a pain in the butt to reach. I imagine it wouldn't be as bad if I removed the exhaust, but those aren't going nowhere. I'm not cutting this either. So, you have a total of 6 bolts. One, no, actually, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. The one you can't really, maybe you can see, 5, and then 6 up there. If it focuses. There you go. So those are your 6. Speedometer cable. Vacuum lines, which mine are all disconnected, so I'm going to get that zip tie cut. Or if it's brittle, it's not, of course. I don't have the old school. I have a cable for my shifter, which works a whole lot better than that stupid thing with the plastic attachments, both drive shafts and everything. And I drain the fluids. So I lay it out like this: front drive shaft bolts. Those are for the axle side. This is for the transmission side. And then you got the cross member, the 4 bolts that hold the transmission mount on, the 2 bolts that make it go into the transmission. This is part of the exhaust. I'll show you that in a quick sec. Those are the exhaust bolts that go on this plate that goes underneath this. So essentially it's like that, and then that goes right here. Those are the 6 bolts for the transfer case. Those are the drive shaft on the axle side. On the transmission side, obviously, it's slip yoke, which we're getting rid of. So that's that. That bushing slides on here. Then that plate goes here, transmission mount here, and then the cross member. So that's that. Well, there she is. I put the plug back in because I'm going to clean it, obviously, before I start taking it apart. She don't look half bad. The back seal on the transmission's good because I have no fluid here. It just doesn't look too bad. So, anyways, I remember telling you I was going to show you the wrench I used. This is a 14mm shorty. It's the only one you could really use to get to the bolt that's right here, because it's short enough that it clears the floor pan, because you only got about that much movement every time. Transmission still looks nice. I'm not sure I've ever taken this transfer case apart. I know I've serviced it by changing fluid, but this might be an actual 274,000 mile. No, 174,000? I'll have to check the mileage on this thing. But it's got the 98 Cherokee motor, but that's the stock transmission and transfer case, and all I've done is change fluids a couple times. So, looks funny though, doesn't it? No, I have had it off. I counted this. I was gonna order a doubler kit. And I took this all apart, waited for a month, 2 months, 3 months, and then I never got it. Had to fight to get my money back. They blamed it on being bought out. There was a whole bunch. So here it is. Pretty sure that's my mark. That's my mark. That's my mark. That's my mark. I was looking into where I'd have to cut into it to make it all fit. And I guess it actually worked out. They never shipped it, because these are my seat bolts. And I would have had to cut this big chunk out of the floor to make the doubler kit work. So I'm glad I didn't do it. But yeah, they kind of pissed me off. So anyways, so I did have this off at one point. Because those are me. I remember doing that now. That would have been 2018 or 19. When the first time, right before we took it to Moab the first time. And then I just ended up taking it like this. And I was completely happy with it. So, anyways, that's where we're at the moment. I'm not sure I'm going to do any more tonight. But that's the little wrench you need to reach that side bolt. These are all the tools I had to use to get it out. So, alright, that's where we're at the moment. Next video, installing the slip yoke eliminator and rebuilding the